Good morning. Do you ever get tired of being told that you're not good enough? Notice I didn't say, do you ever feel tired of being not good enough, but rather, it is the told that I have issue with. Because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've been observing it everywhere in our culture. And the question is like, wait, who is telling us this? Because the way it's coming off is it's like we are in the Garden of Eden and we are being treated like we are Cain in the world from these caricatures, these people who come out of the woodwork on the media and in social media. They lecture us and they're like, they act like they are God, and they're saying, Cain, if you would only do what is right, would you not be rewarded? And it's like, you guys don't even have the right to ask us that question. You guys deny Christ. Right? And so the reason I started thinking about this is because I was listening to a podcast, and I've been listening to way less podcasts, way less music, spending less time on the internet, because it is crushing me. The toxicity that I can feel it. It crushes me. But I was mowing the yard and I was listening to a podcast with George Janko and Jordan Peterson. And in the midst of this podcast, I realized that is where this attitude started to become so prevalent. Jordan Peterson rose to prominence because he was telling people to clean his room, and he was pontificating on the Bible, and he was basically lecturing young men, telling them that they're not all that they could be. But there's something incredibly ridiculous when the type of people who do that, many such cases, they've earned their money from, I would say, demonic ways that are truly evil, and of ways that they're not very repentant. And or they just straight up deny Christ, and then they tell us that we are not everything that we could be. And on this podcast with George Janko and Jordan Peterson, there was a part where they were talking about Jesus Christ, and they were talking about the Sermon on the Mount, and they were talking about when Jesus Christ says, he's telling his disciples, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will have enough worries for its own. And Jordan Peterson talks about that part, and he's like, you know, the hippies, they think it means not to worry, but that's not what it means at all. And it's like, dude, what are you even talking about? The only equivalent for that is there's a meme where, because so many people disparage Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, which is obviously a ridiculous thing to do. No matter what your theology is, certainly don't disparage anybody's mother, especially the mother of Jesus Christ. But there's a meme that alludes to people who do that, reaching the gates of heaven, and Jesus Christ approaches them, and he's like, these people expect Jesus Christ to say any myriad of things to him, but what he says instead is, why did you say those things about my mother? And so when somebody like Jordan Peterson takes the words of Jesus Christ and tries to intellectualize them and try to make it into his own philosophy and fit into his own worldview, it's like, you reach the gates of heaven, and Jesus Christ is like, why did you tell my sheep I didn't say those things? Because I certainly said those things. And that is at the heart of Christianity. That is not to worry about tomorrow, because something becomes self-evident if you live in this world long enough. We all know that we haven't been all that we could be. We know that we are sinning. We're even fighting battles right now that people know nothing about. All of us are fighting battles that nobody knows anything about except God. And so we know that we're not enough. Or rather, we know that we could be more. But it's also true if you carry guilt and shame and these burdens and these worries about tomorrow, you become too heavy and you literally can't do it. That's why Jesus Christ says, pick up my yoke is light. Jesus Christ, it's a paradox because he's doing the thing that is most against our human nature. He is going into death and then resurrecting, and he's telling us to follow him. But then he's telling us that yoke is light, and that yoke is light. So why would you be an individual who is one of these social media caricatures who then makes a living pontificating on the Bible and then putting words into Jesus Christ's mouth or taking words out of Jesus Christ's mouth? It is pathetic. And so we become gaslit from all of these people and these entities who, at the heart, they deny Christ. And we all feel bad because of these battles that we're all fighting that nobody knows nothing about. But there's external battles as well. And if you want to hear insanity, I saw a stat a few weeks ago, and I've literally thought about it every day since, because I don't see reconciliation. I don't see how this stat is rectified. It's like, dude, we might be at the end of the runway. An insanity that has never affected the world like this before. In 1950, 53% of 30-year-old men were both married and homeowners. Married homeowners. In 2025, that number is 8%. So in 1950, 53%, over half of 30-year-old men were married homeowners. Now that number is 8%. And you've got all of these entities, these people, these caricatures, dare I say false something, tellers of lies, trying to gaslight you into thinking that you're not enough, but they're coming at it from a secular direction as well. They try to secularize everything. And it's like, all right, if we're going to be secular about it, having a house, owning property, and having a wife, thus starting a family, I'm pretty sure those are on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so is it just a problem with me that I'm not in that 8%? Is it a problem with the 92% of us that we are not in the 8%? Or is there something crazy happening here? There's certainly something crazy happening here. And so I'm here to tell you today, because this message isn't going to come from anywhere else. There's nothing wrong with you and everything is okay. And if that isn't truly the case, well, that can be the case today. You just have to get right with God. In everything that you do, get right with God. And so I want to read you this. This is the good news, because you and I are united in our suffering. That is the best news possible. Sometimes I look at my anxiety and my pain and the depressions that I feel and the troughs, the rock bottoms that I experience, and I wallow even in my life. I don't complain, but I despair in my life. But then I read this and I remember I'm happy for my suffering, because because that is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is God who comes down from heaven and suffers with us. And without that, there can be no leader. We all know it's self-evidently true that if somebody is your leader, yet they are like a boss who's just commanding orders to you, but they know nothing about the suffering you experienced, and they certainly wouldn't jump into the suffering with you, that is not a true leader. That is a tyrant. And so I would rather not have a barrier between myself and the suffering, if that means I can be in it with you all and be in it with God. And I'm reminded of that here. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely. On my account, rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And so now we have a day ahead, and you can be forgiven today. You can be made right with God today. And that isn't to say you are going to become everything that you could be today. Life is a journey. We have to keep striving forward, but never despair, never fall into hopelessness, because even the mistakes that we've made, that is the sovereignty of God. God can truly make bad things good. God is the Redeemer. God can rectify any situation. And so in our suffering, you and I are united, and we are united to God as well. Hold steadfast to that faith we once had, that faith we had when we were free children. And for now, that's all that I have. Goodbye.